So let me get out of this and let's just go to a monthly chart for a second. So Michael asks, what is your take on crypto, especially altcoins like ETH and ADA? All right, we're going to just look at it as a chart like anything else. Who do we have here who trades crypto? Please type a C for crypto in the chat if you trade crypto or you're really paying close attention to it. Okay, so here I've done more analysis like tribe videos and stuff for you on Bitcoin. And here, I'm just putting a little timer for a second. So in case you are new, I use these timers at my computer desk to make sure I don't strain my eyes. I use them when I'm trading. I use them when I'm doing sessions like this. So I forgot to set it when we started because today's a little weird day, but I'm going to just set it for 10 minutes. So all you do, it's a really cool little timer. See, I turned it on its side and now it's counting down 10 minutes. So when it goes off, we're going to do an eyeball break. We're just going to stretch our eyes and I'll explain what I'm doing. All right. Coming back to this ETH chart on the monthly time frame, look at how we're holding the midpoint of the entire month of June of 2021, 22.95. So I'm just going to throw a line there just so I know that that's where we're at. And it did trade through it, I know, but I think it would be helpful to monitor as we go down in time frame. Please type a Y in the chat if you understand that I'm identifying the middle of an entire month's range as an important support and want to monitor on the smaller time frames. Okay. Now we are hanging around these levels, but let's look at last month's range. So I'm just going to recycle my same little fib here, and I'm going to actually add in more GAN levels. So all of these things I'm doing just around a singular candle, I teach in the GAN candlesticks trading system. All right, so this looks like it held one of the 8s levels, but I'm not going to go refine there. That's fine. This is good enough information for me now. So that same support is now held on and we're on the weekly chart. Okay. And now there's this support. Interesting that the middle of a month was the high of a weekly swing low, right? So that's adding even more evidence that there's buying pressure sitting here. From here, let's see, looks like we had weekend broken below the September 24th low, recovered just like lots of other things and are lower again. The question is, are we going to keep pushing lower or is this week ending January 28th going to hold? So let's come down to the daily chart and see. All right. On the daily chart, so this was support. Now I want to take this tool and I'm going to draw price probes. So again, price probe is one of my favorite ways to identify support and resistance is price probes and spikes. And that's in the 4 zones RSI coverage system. Somebody asked earlier for recording. We always do just to have it as a backup. And so, yeah, I just double checked it is. All right, look at this cluster of support here, guys. This is pretty cool to me. Okay, we're sitting right at it. Do you see here how we have 22.95, that monthly midpoint. Then we have a weekly high of a price probe, and we have the midpoint of a daily. Please type a Y if you see how going down from one time frame to another, I discovered those levels, and they're all congealing like this. It's like a cluster of grapes, right, on a vine. That is an important support area, and you can see the market dip right into it and bouncing back up. So with that being said, on ETH, question for Michael here, we're still in a little bit of a downtrend, but if we can get above yesterday's high, then I think that there's more chance for recovery back towards the February 10th high. Okay. Oh my God, and I'm usually not ever this itchy. I don't know what's going on. So pardon me for constantly scratching my nose. I'm just gonna have to deal because it's distracting me if I don't. All right. Does it help you out, Michael? I'll just do one of your triggers so I can move on to help another trader for now. All right. So for next question where I saw a full question with it. Terry, I want to look to purchase some RTY futures. 2 on for a week at a time, but I want to see if we're close to a bottom. All right. So the question is about Russell futures. He wants to buy futures. Are we close to a bottom? Well, I'm going to translate that analysis that I had done on the other charts over to here. So on the NASDAQ and on the ES, right? I talked about some bigger picture cycles that are a little bit more advanced. They're not actually presenting in the exact same way here, because look at the NASDAQ, guys. Look at the Russell, excuse me. Does everybody see how the Russell peaked way earlier ahead of the other broad markets? Type a Y if you see that. November, right? Versus the NASDAQ putting in a high versus the S&P putting in a high. So these smaller cap stocks can sometimes lead the broad market. They just get less love and less attention because they're smaller cap. They usually don't have as high dividends. They usually don't have as much dramatic moves within the stocks, but don't ignore the small caps. I should probably do a video called that, right? So I look every quarter at the index ETFs relating to all 4 of these markets. So just to refresh your memory, that's the SPY, the Q, the DIA, that's for the Dow, DIA, not DEA, no drug enforcement agency here, okay? And the IWM. By looking at them in depth once a quarter, it gives me a real good sense of what's at play here. And this is part of what, when I did this on February 12th, and I shared them in my quarterly research, that's the Outlook annual reports, I had us, my traders who were reading those reports with me, I had us ready to deal with this weakness that came in till now. So coming back to the question about the Russell, if we don't close below this low that we just violated, January 24th, I assume it is, but let's see. Yeah, January 28th, okay? If we have today's candle not close below there, that would be encouraging. Also, notice on the RSI power zones, we had been in a nice clear bear zone domination since the December highs. But right now, price is making a lower low, but it has yet to make a lower low in momentum. That alone doesn't mean there's a divergence, okay? I get this question a lot, and I may even go back to my teachings to make it really specific. But when there's a divergence, you actually have to see on the RSI 3 values form that give you that trough, okay? Or 3 values form like this that give you that peak. This is not a bullish divergence all on its own. Please type a Y if you guys could see that. So there's a follow-up question about what should I be seeing on the RSI to confirm if there's bottom. I'm not going to get into that here because I don't want to get in the game of trying to be super predictive with you guys. I'm just going to give you what I see right now and what I would monitor. So I would monitor, like I said, the price action. Price is more important than momentum. And then from there, let's just look at the intraday for a moment. And this is the continuous contract chart. See, all of this is a recovery, but we're still within the context of lower highs, all of these swing highs, the most significant being the highs from earlier this week. So I need to it's still, I think, too early to say. We could have another move lower before we go higher. Really need to see how this today and this week plays out. All right. Does that help you out, Terry, who asked about RTY initially? Okay. Okay, so my timer's about to go off. So I'm actually going to take a moment now to do what's called that eyeball break with you guys. And we're going to keep going here. So what I do for an eyeball break is I'm going to shut off my camera for 1 second so I can actually take a break and not look at the screen. Okay. So all we do when we take an eyeball break, number 1, if you're sitting and if you're doctor approved, able to stand up, go ahead and stand. I'm going to stand. I'm just going to stretch my limbs a little. Maybe roll your shoulders, maybe just kind of shake your arms out. The important thing is to look away from your screens. Look at anything around the room that you're trading in. Ideally, look somewhere 20 feet away or more. So I have a window, see my neighbors' houses, I'm just going to look out the window and look at their lawn and their trees and just refocus my eyes to something far away. So you may hear my voice changing. I do this as a standard practice, whether I'm trading, working in a session like this with you guys, doing any other computer work for my life. I always take a break about 30 minutes in. This is what gives me stamina, for lack of a better word, to be able to do a lot of computer work and not get tired or strain my eyes. So if all you take away from today, if you're new to the tribe or new to coaching with me, all you take away is use a timer on your phone, use a timer like I have, this cube timer, and take breaks from the screen. Because the more you're just staring at it, the less potent your concentration will be, okay? So I've completed my break, so I'm gonna come back on camera and resume. No, great question, Oliver. What's your thoughts on blue light glasses? This is my thought. I wear these, guys. I wear these most of the time. The reason I don't wear them with you is because you can see the glare. So if anybody would like to know, I just got these off Amazon. They're not prescription or anything. I don't wear glasses. I never have. Hopefully never will. But these work great. These really help with my computer work. So if you guys want to know what those are, just let me know and I'll send an email about it. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is, as a follow-up to this, because there's a couple questions about it, I'm going to let you guys know what this Q timer is, the exact brand and everything from Amazon. I'll give you a link, and I'll also give you a link to the glasses. How does that sound? They're not expensive. This is like, I don't know, 15 bucks, and these glasses were maybe 20. All right, cool. In fact, I'm going to make a little note of it. So I'm very analog. So you see me flying off camera. Even though we're here on the computer, like my whole being is very like, you know, I grew up in the 80s and 90s. So I'm very not like reaching for a tablet first. I'm reaching for pen and paper. So I'm just putting myself a note here and I use little scraps of paper. Like my whole life ends up in these little tasks to do, whether it's for trading, for teaching, for like my life. So if I don't do this, it will fly out of my brain. So send time cube and glasses info to tribe. And I put today's date. That way I know when I jotted it. And I put like the topic at the top and I'll just say HR tribe. Okay. And then I just keep it on my desk and that way it's more likely to get done. Just a little life tip for you there. Okay. Great. So let's continue. PSLV. So is this a leverage ETF, Don? This is a question about silver. Okay, it's just a different. Okay, it's a leverage ETF. Okay, so do we have any commodities traders here? Yeah, Mark is asking about gold, so we can look at that in a second. Don's trades silver. Who else trades commodities here? Type C for commodities if you trade commodities, or a Y, that's fine. Oh, lots of you. Okay. So let's look at this silver ETF that I'm not super familiar with, but again, I'll do my analysis from scratch. Just like everything else in Silverland had a big decline. We are recovering. My husband and I are what you would call like gold bugs. We have physical gold as not really an investment, more just like, you know, if zombies take over the world, that's our money kind of situation, which honestly, when things like war break out, I feel pretty good that I have some actual physical gold. We also have silver. And so I'm watching these prices pretty regularly because we build our store using the dips in the market. So on this monthly chart, PSLV, just like silver futures or anything else, has been consolidating. So let's take it down one time frame. One thing I want to point out, see how it's holding the bull support power zone? And it did so back in March of 2020. I think that's good news for silver, but I think it's going to be some time before it breaks out. Yeah, here you can see in the weekly chart, it's lifting up. It kind of dipped below the bull support power zone, but essentially it looks like it came back towards these old tops, held, didn't even go and touch them. And now we're coming into this weekly price spike. So we just tested the midpoint of this weekly price spike, 863. And are backing off. So I need to take this down to daily time frame to really see. So this is a great level to be at, okay? If we break below. So I just want to capture what the, oh gosh, I lost the line I just drew, but that's okay. I wanted to capture what the weekly midpoint was, but look at this, guys. On the weekly and on the daily, silver is bumping up into a recent price spike. Type a Y if you see that. I drew one on the weekly, I took it away. I drew one on the daily, I took it away. But you see how they're both holding price right now. And today is so far turning into a really bearish looking day. Now, with that, it's not any sort of official divergence yet. We have to check the values. So far today, the day's not over. It's only midday. RSI has a 68.59 value. And that was 67.96. So it looks like it could be divergence, but it's not. Today's value currently is still higher than the previous peak, okay? And so this market closed a little earlier, right? So we'll see what shakes out, but I would keep an eye on the low from this price spike done. If we don't get above this 870 area, I think there could be a pullback on silver. How much? Well, it's a little too early to draw this forecast, so don't draw it for yourself. I'm just showing you what could be later is that we could be declining into mid-March, potentially even back to this price probe. That's if this cycle happens and works out perfectly. This is not a valid pretty point yet because there is no swing high in price. Okay, so don't draw it, don't trade it. I'm just showing you what could happen if, I don't have a crystal ball, but if the following occurs. Let me get my little annotations. If tomorrow we form a lower bar high, do you see how this could be? Please type below in the chat if you see that we would need subsequent price action for this forecast to be valid. Okay. There's a question, how do you explain the bearish divergence in the bear resistance power zone? There isn't one right now. I think there may have been one back here, but again, you have to check the values. So back here, peak was 67.16 and was followed by 68.31. There was not a bearish divergence. And right now there's not either. We have to wait and see. Could turn into it, but it's not right now. Does that help you out, Don? Sir, what to monitor? So when I answer your questions, guys, in these sessions, I'm trying to give you like that immediate next step. Okay, not like the whole future of silver. Again, if you want my long-term forecasts, I have that in the Outlook Annual. And I know I'm throwing a lot of names around. So towards the end here, when you run out of your market questions, I'm happy, even along the way, to answer any questions about what I provide traders. But I'm trying to just give you that next step. Okay, so get ready for another round of entering your questions, guys. Why don't you go ahead and start typing in, if I haven't caught yours yet, I see yours, Accentra about CVS, Jesse about NVIDIA, Barry, LIACF, and then Renee about CH22. Okay, so I see those and I'm going to address those. If you have other questions now, put them in. And guys, please give me a question with the ticker and give me tickers separately. Don't give me a bunch at a time so that I can be fair in answering everyone. Okay, so let me finish these out and come back to that. All right. CVS monthly time frame. Interesting, we're back at this August of 2015 whole range, massive, right? And tested this May of 2016 high and backing off. Okay, still an uptrend, but definitely hit some resistance. RSI power zone is nothing very exciting right now. On the weekly chart, that same analysis, if I look closer, we had a candle pattern here. My Gann candlestick students, what did we have here between these two candles? This is a little bit of a trick question because there's more than one answer. So yeah, the way I'm getting the RSI reading, so for starters, I could turn the stuff on here. I just find it like a little bit of a clutter, but I'll keep it on. When you do this, it will give you the latest RSI value, Bobby. But if you want to look at any past one, then you just take your mouse, left click on the mouse, hold it on the candle in question, and come down into the RSI area, you see? So I'm just moving it day by day or here week by week. Does everybody understand how I'm capturing the RSI value from prior bars. I can get the current value here, but the prior bars, I have to hover over the indicator. Okay.